Few months ago, I realized one of my biggest dreams as fish keeper. I created my first ever reef tank. It was an amazing, very fulfilling and fun learning experience. And because there was a lot of things to discuss, I divided that build into 3 episodes. Now I'm putting everything together so you can experience my journey end to end. Most of my materials are already available on my channel. I just put them all together and added few extra shots and made small update on how my reef is doing today. This is also why I turned off all notifications about that video. I don't want to impose on my subscribers that already saw that. So, if you ever wondered how this process of setting up reef tank looks like from a beginner point of view, how to start? Is it really that difficult? I will show you every step of my journey to reef keeping and explain everything I did and why. Enjoy! As always, to not waste your time, I will make this video detailed but very direct, without unnecessary filler talk. Let's start from the tank itself. For this build, I decided to go for 40 cm all-in-one cube. It's a 57-liter system with big filtration compartment at the back. And this is good, because in reef tanks we need a lot of filtration media, both mechanical and biological. And I have to say, it really looks like a good quality product, and I like how it's made. First compartment of filtration panel holds something called filter sock. Filter socks are designed to catch bigger debris or waste floating in your tank. So in essence, this is our mechanical filtration. We will not touch this part at the moment. Next compartment is much bigger, and this is where we will put all our biological media. This tank came with few extra add-ons like these filtration cubes and bio balls. And I like them. They are very porous and they will be great for beneficial bacteria colonization. This is how they look inside. Luckily, we have much more space, so we can use more media. So now I can add this. It's called Live Biofill and it's additional biological filtration media. But this one is quite unique, because it comes with bacteria already on it. So it should speed up the cycling process of our tank. And this is great because reef tanks are maturing much slower than freshwater tanks. I place it in this media bag to keep it in one place in case I want to replace or move it. At this point, I want to mention that all products from Aquaforest are sponsored. And I want to say a massive thank you to Aquaforest for their great support. This is the first time in the history of this channel that I'm using sponsored materials, but this is for a good reason. I'm very selective about what I'm showing on this channel, because your trust means everything to me. So I rejected all sponsoring offers of the equipment and products that I don't believe in. But anyway, in the last compartment I placed my heater and water pump that will run this entire system. Okay, it looks nice and clean. And this is how it looks on the cabinet. Let's not waste your time showing you how I built it, and let's focus on what's really important. Light. Just like in case of freshwater tanks, light is very important, but it's very different. It's much more blue and has a unique light spectrum dedicated for coral growth. Unfortunately, this kind of light is really difficult to record, and it changes the colors of everything that is inside the tank. At the beginning, I had many problems with recording good footage for you, but I will come back to that later. Now let's focus on the exciting part, building a hardscape. As a building material, I will use those synthetic rocks. They are just amazing. I have never seen anything like that and never worked with it, but I just love how they look. Check out those details, just fantastic. And they are also very porous, which helps with beneficial bacteria colonization. I have arches, plates, caves, anything I want. They are quite big, but luckily I can break them into smaller pieces, which is good because our tank is not exactly huge. Okay, let's get to work. Before I start working on it, check it out. I created this area outside of my tank because I have to design my hardscape very carefully and I don't want to break or scratch my new tank. Those lines right there represent the exact size of my tank, so I know where are my limits. Now I can try all combinations I want without worrying that I will destroy anything. And it turned out to be a very good decision because I think I tried every possible combination of those rocks and I couldn't find anything that worked for me. You see, I have a very specific plan for my corals in my head, and I have to consider their placement in advance. I have to think about the water flow, light intensity, and potential aggression between them. Because yes, if you're not aware, corals can be aggressive and fight each other. This is why proper design of your hardscape is so important. But I will not pretend that I'm an expert. Luckily, I realized that this big piece that I think was supposed to be a base can also act as a background for my build. If I place it like that, I can create dedicated shelves for my corals and secure it with a bigger plate at the bottom. I do need to find the proper combination, but I really like the idea. I can also create a cave to make it more interesting and stronger at the same time. And with smaller pieces glued to the sides, I can create few places for corals and keep them separated from each other. Yes, I think this will really work. And by the way, this place to work outside of the tank was such a good idea. I just cannot imagine doing this inside the tank. To secure the entire structure, I use this glue dedicated for this purpose. It kind of looks like a cement and will bond my hardscape very quickly. I'm not exactly worried about it being visible, because in time it will disappear hidden by algae and corals. But you can always cover it with small pieces of your rock. Let me just quickly zoom in and show you. Exactly like that. After a while, the main structure is super stable and holds together very well. Now it's time to work on the details. As I mentioned before, I want to create more places suitable for corals. This is why I will glue some small fragments to the main structure. Something like this. I'm trying with few places and few pieces, looking for the right spot. It might look a bit weird right now, but I have to think about the end result. To attach those pieces, I will use different type of glue and very stylish pink gloves that I took from my wife. After mixing it, it looks like a modeling clay, and it's much easier to use when working on small pieces. As always, you can hide contact points with hardscape leftovers, but in time they should not be visible. And after a while, here we are. Everything sticks together very well, entire structure is very rigid, and I have a lot of great spots for my corals. And look here, I was able to hide those contact points behind small pieces of rock. It's all very consistent now. I have to say, I was a bit nervous about that part, but I really like how it looks right now. Those two pieces are here on purpose. They will be islands that I will also use for my corals in the future. Exactly like those shelves on the main part. It feels good to work on this. It's such a great and new experience for me. But okay, let's move it into the tank and see how it looks there. Okay, moment of truth. Please don't break. Please don't break. Please don't break. Yeah, I know it will not break. It fits there perfectly. And I have enough space to clean the glass, which was also my goal. Let's quickly move the islands to complete the look. Oh yes, this is just great. And there is one more thing. You see, this tank is right next to my working desk, and I wanted it to also look good from the side. You see? I should have a great view on it when I'm pretending to work. Okay, let's connect the light back again. Oh yes, it looks just awesome. Listen, I know it's probably silly to be so excited about a bunch of rocks, but this is my first ever reef tank, and I'm loving it so much. Look at those rocks. And from the top, now you can clearly see how many great places I have for my corals. This is going to be so epic. Comment below if you spot any mistakes, have any advice, or just want to express your opinion about this hardscape. It's always great to hear from you. And as this is a very important video for me, please leave a like if you liked it. Next thing to do was to add sand. This part is a bit more complicated than usual. Just like in case of my biofiltration media, I will use sand that has beneficial bacteria already on it, which is fantastic, but requires some preparation. First of all, I rinsed it in RO water. This step is optional, but based on the color of this water, you can see that this is a really good idea. Once my sand was more or less clean, I placed it back in the bag. Now I have to prepare a jug of salt water, and finally I can add those two bottles. One is full of beneficial bacteria, and second is the food for this bacteria. I mixed everything together and finally poured the content of this jug onto my sand. Now I had to leave it for 24 hours. After that time, our sand was ready to be used, and already, let's say, it was a bit pre-cycled with bacteria. How great is that? As a final touch, I placed my islands on top of it. With this sand, it all looks even better. Very nice, clean, and works with those rocks very well. I think we are finally ready to fill this tank with water. Speaking of water, to prepare salt water, we need to run it through RODI filter, like this one. It's because we need to have a water that is completely pure. And that means TDS of 0. Look how big is the difference between my tap water and the same water after it was run through RO filter. I had to create around 50 liters and then mix it with reef salt. We will aim for salinity of 1.025, and that means I need to use almost 2 kilograms of salt. Honestly, that was shocking to me. I thought that I would have to use like 2-3 spoons or something. Look how much I had to add. But okay, I'm not the expert here. To mix it properly, I placed this power head in this huge water container and just let it mix for some time. Shortly after that, my water was ready, but I still wanted to test it. To check salinity levels, I used this refractometer. It's quite fast and easy to use. You just need to drop 2 drops of water in here and then look through it into the light. Oh, I didn't expect I will be able to record it, but there we are. This is what you should see when you look through it. This blue line indicates salinity level. Right there, you can see it's 1.025, and that is perfect. Out of curiosity, I tested RO water and the result was 0, which indicates that it works correctly and was properly calibrated. See the difference? This is exactly what we want. But anyway, I knew my water was ready, so I started to pour it into my new reef tank. And this was the result. The entire tank went very milky, but I was kind of expecting it, so I wasn't worried. Now it's time to switch on the filtration and start cycling this beautiful tank. With all add-ons of bacteria at every step, it should get a decent start. But I will just have to wait and see. After a few hours, the water was clean and tank looked fantastic. I know it's quite empty, but this is only the first step of this fantastic journey. I like it already, and with corals and fish, it will just be magnificent. I have little experience with reef tank development, and I wasn't sure how much time it will take to cycle. So I was dosing bacteria every day for the first 2 weeks. After that time, I started to test the water parameters. Doing it earlier really didn't make much sense. And to my surprise, even though I had biomedia with bacteria on it, sand with bacteria on it, and on top of this I was dosing additional starter bacteria, I was still getting high ammonia results. I was really hoping to start adding some life already, but this is not going to happen with that result. Even though corals can live in traces of ammonia, I wanted to play safe and just waited. But I used this additional time to address two things that might be neglected by people used to work with freshwater tanks: water flow and evaporation. Let's start from the water current. It's absolutely essential in reef tanks because it helps with delivering food, oxygen and nutrients to corals. Water flow also helps with cleaning debris from coral surface, which helps them with photosynthesis. That single pump doesn't generate enough water movement, so I decided to install this wave maker. It creates water movements that are more randomized and resemble how water behaves in the oceans. Next, I had to address water evaporation. In freshwater tanks, it's not really that important because there are no real or dangerous consequences. Low water level just looks bad. But in reef tank, it's essential to keep the salinity levels stable and salt doesn't evaporate, only water does. With water level going down and salt amount staying the same, overall salinity level is increasing. To fight against that, I installed this auto top-off system. It will add small amounts of RO water every time it evaporates from the tank and will keep the salinity exactly where I want it. After all technicalities were sorted and additional 2 weeks of testing, I got what I wanted. I was so excited for this. My patience was really tested this time, but today is the day and I will finally add my first life to my reef. Because of my lack of experience, I decided to do it very slowly and in many steps, so my tank could adjust to the increased bioload. So every 7 to 10 days, I was adding a little bit more corals and other creatures, so I could observe them, react to eventual issues, and minimize any danger to them. I started from 3 easy beginner-friendly corals and 1 snail. We have here Duncan coral, Zoanthids, and 1 mushroom. They are all closed now because of stress, and they will look completely different later. I was drip acclimating them to even out all water parameters and make the transition less stressful for them. I also did that with my main light switched off. This is why it all looks a little bit weird, and I took acclimation really slowly. After 2 hours, my snail was ready to go to the tank. There you go, buddy. I hope you will like it in here. With corals, I did it equally slow, but I had to do one additional step. I had to dip them. Dip is a special solution that is safe for corals but harmful to pests. And dipping is the process of removing parasites and other unwanted guests from your corals. So it's a very good practice to do that when you're introducing new corals to your tank. I kept them in here for a few minutes and I was blowing this solution all over the container to make sure it does its job. After a few minutes, I rinsed my corals in tank water and they were ready to be introduced to my reef. At the beginning, I was just placing them like that, together with their frag plugs. The only exception was this Duncan coral that I had to glue to my rock. And that was it for now. Like I said, I started very safe and slow. This way, I had a lot of time to observe them, to look how they react, and try to get better at recording. My footage was really bad in this blue light. It doesn't even show 20% of the beauty of this tank. But luckily, I got much better at it. You will see how my recordings were maturing together with this tank. After 1 week, everything seemed fine. Corals were opening up and looked very healthy, way better than you can see right now, and I was super happy with how they were all doing. I mean, look at this guy. Yes, you can make fun. Yes, it's quite empty, but for me, I mean, this was a big moment. I have living corals in my tank, and I felt such a responsibility for their well-being. But because everything was doing great, I made another step. As planned, 1 week later, I got few additional corals and this amazing guy. How cute is he? Look at his little legs. This is going to be a great addition to my tank. He has some trouble moving on a glass surface, but don't worry, little man. Soon you will have entire rocky reef to explore. I slowly acclimated and added him to the tank. Next, I repeated my routine with the corals. So, very slow drip acclimation and dipping. Here you can see some examples why it is so important. This right there was on one of my corals, and I have no idea what it is. And here you can see something jumping, and again, I'm not sure if this is good or bad. But the biggest surprise was this. I think they are legs. Well, probably they are not called legs, but still. Legs of what? Well, I was blowing some water on my coral and it just came out. And look at it. How amazing is that? I did some research and it seems to be one of the good guys. So I decided to add him to my reef. I think it's kind of a risk on my side. So if anybody knows exactly what is the name of this species, please comment below. I really want to be sure that I should keep it in here. But you know, this is one of those amazing things about reef tanks. I'm buying a cheap coral and getting this creature that looks like an alien. But anyway, after dipping and acclimating, I've added my corals to my tank. And it started to look good in real life, but was still looking bad on the video. But I still kept working on that to deliver you amazing shots later. After my reef adjusted to new life, I've ordered some more corals. This time I wanted to complete my zoa garden, so I bought few different color variations. I also got this amazing Euphyllia. It doesn't look good right now after shipping, but check this out. It's the same coral few hours later, but already placed in my tank. How amazing is this? Entire tank slowly started to look good. There was more and more life, movement and colors. I got no problems, everything was looking healthy, nothing was dying, parameters stayed stable. But this time I waited additional 2 weeks for the main event. The biggest and most important shipment. This is so exciting to open that I wanted to do it with you. Because in this box we have business? Okay. Ammonia production. Ammonia production? Really? If this is done deliberately by the store, I mean, that was quite funny. But there is no ammonia in my tank. Huh, I checked. Okay, but let's check what's really inside. We have few types of snails to help with maintenance. Oh wow, this is a big one. I was expecting something way smaller. We have few coral frags. I actually forgot about those in all the excitement. And we have this. My first clownfish. Oh my god, he's so beautiful. What an amazing color. This is so cool. And another snail. This is a big boy. And very interesting looking one. And another clownfish. Equally gorgeous. And finally, the centerpiece of my tank. Anemone. A big anemone. I was expecting it to be tiny. There were 3 sizes to choose from and I got the smallest one. That actually might be an issue, because it will get even bigger in the tank, I think. But still, what an amazing creature this is. So weird. As always, I took acclimation very seriously and took my time with it. First, I placed my anemone in its place. And I gotta say, this spot right in the middle works great with it. I mean, this was the entire plan from the beginning. All that rock work, you see why I shaped it like that, to fit this amazing animal right here. But I am worried about the size. I have to wait and see how big it will get once it settles here. So let's give it some time. Now it's time to introduce these little guys into my reef tank. Wow, it took a lot of time to get this tank ready for fish. There you go. I promise I will do everything to keep you happy in here. Luckily, they immediately seemed very comfortable in here. No loss of color, no shock. They even started eating on day one. These are very good signs. And this anemone, it started already to expand and was getting bigger and bigger, up to the point that it became a threat to its surroundings. Look at it now! You see what I mean? I think this is where my lack of experience is showing. In case of real problems, I think I will just have to give it back to avoid any danger to the corals and anemone itself. It would be a real shame, but you know, safety of my animals is the highest priority. For now, let's give all new life a bit time to settle in. And here we are, another 3 weeks later. The tank looks absolutely amazing. It's colorful, full of life, and so different from all my other tanks. It makes such a big impression of every person that sees it. There are 2 more corals added, but I will not bore you with very similar footage when I'm introducing them. Most important thing for me is that after all this time, I have 0 problems with it. This is what I see every day when I'm working on the videos for you. Not a bad sight, isn't it? Let me know what you think of it in the comments. I know that considering saltwater tanks, this one is still very fresh. But still, after all this time, I haven't lost anything. Not a single snail, not even a single polyp of any coral. Our crab is healthy, already molted once, which is a very good sign. He is very active and doing just great. Fish are fine, there are no signs of stress or illness of any kind. They are eating and growing very fast. All snails are alive and doing well. And those corals, they all look so amazing. Every single one. The shapes, the colors, the movement, all of them are opening every day and doing just fantastic. Some of them aren't here for over 2 months now, so I was able to notice even some growth. There are new heads popping here and there. What an amazing result. I know that some problems might still come. Actually, they probably will come. I'm still a total beginner in this type of builds, so I'm learning every day about it. So getting this tank to look and work like that is a big win for me. If you have any tips, suggestions, I'm all open to it. So don't be shy and write down what you think. In the next episode, I will explain how I maintain it and keep it clean and healthy. Now, let's focus on the next part, maintenance. Comparing to freshwater tanks, maintenance of reef tanks is more important and little bit more complicated. It also includes very cool activities and it's super rewarding. So let me show you entire process step by step. Starting from the basics, testing. First of all, even after a few months, I'm still testing my water to understand what is happening with all this life in this tank. I always do that before I start my cleaning session, because doing it after water change would give me false results. And I'm interested in how that tank is actually doing, how fast it's using calcium or magnesium, if ammonia or nitrates are rising, and so on. And because I always do those tests on the same day of the week, it's easy for me to observe any patterns. And I'm also saving all results for further analysis. I'm very new to saltwater tanks, and understanding all chemistry behind it is very helpful and educational. It takes no more than 20-30 minutes, and I do that every 7 days. Now let's jump to probably most obvious point on the list: cleaning. Right after I'm done with my tests, I have my cleaning session scheduled. It includes few standard steps that I do in very specific order. Let me explain why. I always start from cleaning my glass. Even though I have a great cleanup crew, glass in this tank gets dirty very fast, way faster than in freshwater tanks. I'm cleaning it with this magnetic scraper. It's fast, effective, and I also like the fact that it creates additional and different movement of water when I'm using it. This allows some of the debris that are resting in dead spots of this tank to be lifted into water column. This way, they can be picked up by the filtration. So this side effect of glass cleaning is actually very beneficial. After my glass is cleaned, I'm disturbing my sand a little bit. This is again to eliminate any dead spots, turn it over, and lift any debris into water column. I'm doing it a little bit less now because I have few snails that do that for me, but still, I try to do that in places that could use some more movement. So you might say that I'm creating a bit of a mess because I want those particles to be taken out of the tank during water change, which I'm doing next. Because it's a saltwater aquarium, I have to prepare my water in advance. I have this small aquarium prepared exactly for that reason. It's a perfect size because it's 12 liters and I'm always changing 10 liters of water. So it's very easy for me to measure how much RO water I need and amount of salt that I have to add. I still test salinity before I use it, but it's almost always exactly right. I have a small water pump here to mix it properly and heater to even out the temperature in both tanks. Now I can remove 10 liters of water from my Reef tank and replace it with fresh salt water that has perfect water parameters. It's again very easy to measure because I use this jug that is exactly 2 liters. The last part of the cleaning process is filter maintenance, starting from this filter soak. I do that at the end of cleaning session for a few reasons. I wanted to filter out as many floating particles as possible. This is why I deliberately lifting them when working on my glass and substrate. That means that not only I'm cleaning all the debris from water, but also I'm getting rid of it from the filtration right after. And lastly, I'm cleaning my filter sponge in tank water. So water I have just taken out during water change. I do that because I don't want to kill any beneficial bacteria that might be living on top of this sponge. And that's it for cleaning session. As mentioned before, I do it once a week and it takes me around 45 minutes to complete. After cleaning is done, I do a very quick equipment check. This is very easy and fast part. I check if the heater is fine, I check the pump, I check if there is any residue accumulating on my sensor or wave maker, and that is actually very important. And finally, I'm filling up my top of reservoir with clean RO water. This water is used during the week due to evaporation, and I need to keep an eye on it and refill it when necessary. Equipment checks take me around 5 minutes and I also do them once a week. So now let's move to the coolest part, feeding. Okay, feeding is not exactly maintenance, I think, but it's a big part of running this tank and keeping it healthy, so I included it in here. And in case of reef tanks, it's so cool. Let's start from feeding the fish. There is nothing special here, to be honest. I feed my fish once a day with very small portions. To keep them healthy, I use diverse diet and use as many frozen foods and natural foods as possible. I add small marine pellets into the mix, but maximum twice a week. So I prefer to use this liquid food, and fish really seem to love it. Besides, that food doesn't pollute the water, and it's great also for my snails and crab. But the real fun begins with corals. Even though most of the corals are getting their energy from symbiotic algae Zooxanthellae, some of them can and even should be fed. Sometimes it's enough just to put some liquid food into the water column, and they will be able to catch it themselves. But in many cases, corals should be fed directly. And by directly, I mean directly into their mouths. I feed my corals with dedicated pellet food or defrosted foods like myces. Feeding corals is a little bit more complicated and they cannot exactly chase the food. So during feeding I'm switching off my filtration and wave maker to eliminate any strong water movement. After that, I'm gently feeding my corals with small portions using a pipette. I find that process really interesting and fascinating to observe. You need to be careful and very precise when doing that, but still, I never thought I would be doing that. It's very surprising how fast they can react to food and how they are sensing that there is something for them to eat. And they look so different while eating and change their shape so rapidly. Amazing stuff! It's worth mentioning that many of them like to be fed after the lights are out, because this is when they are extending their tentacles. Look at the difference here. On the left, you can see how the coral looks during the day, and on the right, after the lights are off. Quite a difference, isn't it? By the way, this is why coral placement is so important in reef tanks. You should always have in mind how your corals look and behave also during the night. But anyway, feeding takes me around 5 to 10 minutes and I do it twice a week with very small portions. But I always spend additional time observing them right after. I think I just cannot get enough of that side. Now let's move to the last point, dosing. My reef is still quite new, so I'm not supplementing it with calcium or magnesium yet. Parameters are stable and all that is used by corals is added with water changes. But as my reef will grow, I'm expecting that dosing might be necessary. But this is why I'll still test regularly to notice any deficiency. I will just have to see what happens in the next months and act accordingly. But I do use different products. I use vitamins and amino acids. I use very small doses, half of what is recommended by the producer. So dosing takes me less than 1 minute and I do it every other day. And this is pretty much it. This is all I need to do right now and my tank looks great, stays clean and seems to be very healthy. There will be definitely some changes necessary in upcoming months, but so far so good. There are no deaths, no illness, no plagues. I don't see any deficiencies and all numbers really stay stable. As the tank keeps maturing, I'm expecting a little bit more algae. As my corals will grow, I'm expecting more nutrient deficiencies, but this is the point. To observe, to learn, to adapt and prepare myself. Because for me, this is only the beginning of this fantastic journey. I cannot wait to see what happens next, because new, bigger and better tank is already in my mind. But I am really patient, and right now I'm just going for the experience. If you have any tips or suggestions, what should I include into my maintenance, please let me know. I'm really learning here. And now, after additional 6 months, my reef looks great. There is a lot of growth from almost all corals. I can see a lot of new heads and coral splitting. There are also few additions into my collection, and they are also all doing just amazing. On top of that, I have zero problems with algae. I actually just noticed that. I actually never had any issues with that. The tank looks amazingly clean. No diatoms, no cyano, no hair algae, nothing. And I think in total from the start it's already what, 10, 11 months? And I have zero problems. I do keep up with maintenance. I'm really consistent. Maybe that's the key? I don't know. But what makes me really happy is the fact that I still have 0 deaths. I really am a newbie here. And the fact that everything is still alive and doing great means a lot to me. Apart from this anemone that I just had to give away, all living creatures are still with me and doing just fine. Unfortunately, this anemone, it was just too big for this tank, and it was a threat for everything else inside. Health and looks of all the other animals give me the confidence to keep doing what I'm doing and keep learning, because I'm still thinking about new bigger tank that will be my long-term solution, where all my corals and fish would be even happier. This one is a learning project for it, but I still love it. The only thing that I'm not happy about is the quality of my recordings. They are still not showing the actual amazing colors of my corals. But I promise you, I am working on that to deliver you the best possible experience. Let me know what you think of it. Subscribe if you don't want to miss any updates or future projects. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one.